Hello everyone, my name is Tanya from Nana's Crafty Home. I'm excited to share with you that we're going to be releasing a new pattern to the blog. It's going to be a free pattern and it's going to be released as a crochet along over 4 parts. The Spring Rhapsody Blanket is a close relative of the Autumn Rhapsody Blanket that I released last fall. I kept it very similar to the Autumn Rhapsody as far as the style. So the Spring Rhapsody Blanket will be released as a crochet along. If you're not familiar with a crochet along, that would be when a pattern is released in parts. So you get portions of the pattern at a time, and people all over the world are able to make that pattern at the same time, no matter where they live. So I will be releasing these about 10 days apart for each part, so that way you have plenty of time to work that portion of the blanket before I release the second part. The pattern will be free, and I will also have it for sale if you would prefer to purchase the ad-free PDF of the whole pattern. If you are a lifetime member of Nana's Crafty Home, thanks so much. And as a little bonus, you're going to have early access to part 1. You will have access to part 1 on April 20th. The free pattern will be released beginning April 27th. So part 1 will be released on April 27th. So then every 10 days I will release another part of the pattern. I will also be designing and releasing the matching pillow to go along with the blanket. I wanted to talk a little bit about the yarn that I used, and I know that things are a little uncertain now. Love Crafts is where I purchased my yarn. It is Paint Box Cotton Aran is what I used for my design. They are shipping yarn and still in business, practicing safety for their deliveries. So that is an option for you. They have a US site as well as a UK site for those of you who don't live in the United States. Imagine that when a designer is working on a new design, that it would take several months to develop that pattern. So I started working on this blanket several months ago. It's been in testing phase for the last several weeks. And of course, you can imagine that I didn't know what was going to be happening in the world when I had intended on releasing the blanket. I actually considered postponing the release, even possibly waiting until next spring until I release the pattern. But then the more I thought about it, I thought, what better way for us to be together as a crochet community than to be working on such a happy blanket at the same time. And especially since it's a scrappy style blanket, it's really intended to use up scrap. So this is a perfect opportunity for you to head to your yarn stash, pull out those yarn tubs and find out what you have in your stash that would work. Use your favorite colors. So you have a lot of options. You can use you don't have to use cotton, you can use acrylic, whatever you are happy using. The pattern as written is a lap size, 49 inches tall by approximately 38 inches wide. I will be giving instructions on how to resize the blanket wider. The length of your blanket, you are going to be making decisions on which rows to repeat in order to make your blanket longer than 49 inches. So your yarn needs may be a little different than what I have supposed. I do give some yardage estimates for the different size of blankets. So just remember that depending on what stitches you decide to repeat in your blanket, you may need more or less yarn than what I estimate for you. I will also be working on stitch tutorials for you to help you work through the blanket. I'm estimating that I'll be doing approximately 16 to 17 tutorials at this point is the plan, and I will be doing those both in photo and in video because I know not everyone is able to easily watch video with their internet speed. So I do provide photo tutorials as well to help you through the more difficult stitches. If you are unsure about working through a blanket of this size with this many more complicated stitches, I think that the pillow would be another great option for you. It's a smaller project, and that will be released after the blanket is released. So my final part is scheduled to be released May 27th. So I believe that the pillow should be released probably around June 10th or so, somewhere around there. So that's something you could certainly wait for, and all the tutorials would be available for you. If you'd like to participate more fully in the Crochet Along, the best way to do that would be by joining my Crochet Along group on Facebook. I will have a link that you can follow to go directly to that group and ask to join. It's a great way to ask questions if you are struggling with any parts of the pattern. Everyone is so helpful and nice. And it's also a wonderful place to see others' color and yarn choices as well. So let's take a look at the blanket a little more closely. As I mentioned earlier, I'm planning on doing at least 16, probably 17 tutorials. So that means we have a lot of different stitches going on in this blanket. The first one is this cherry blossom stitch. It's worked directly into the blanket. There's no sewing involved in working this stitch. And you can see we've got a lot of fun, unique stitches planned throughout this blanket. I've got a drop puff stitch. We're going to work through the heart stitch here. I've got the lark's foot stitch. This fun puff stitch is a front post puff, and it looks a little bit like a flower. A lot of fun. One of my favorite stitches is this shell stitch here, and I think you're really going to enjoy how that looks, and you probably will want to use that stitch as well in other projects. We've got a granny triangle here, blackberry salad. Another fun and unique stitch. I combined two different stitches here to create this unique look. This is a variation of Jacob's Ladder with this braided loop stitch, strawberry stitch, and then my favorite stitch, I think, of this blanket is this flower here. To me, this looked like a magnolia flower, and so that's what I've called it for my blanket. So it's really unique and fun, and another one that you don't need to sew. It's worked directly into your blanket. Border is simple, not a large border, but we have a great puff stitch for that as well. So lots of really fun, really unique stitches in this blanket. I think you're going to really enjoy making this blanket, and it is a blanket that you will love for years to come. I hope you'll join me for this crochet along. We're going to have a lot of fun working through this blanket together, and I am so excited, and I can't wait to see all of your amazing projects.